All right, so here are the latest news and rumors across the National Football League. We'll start things off with Rob Gronkowski. What is the latest? Well, I'm here to tell you. So Ian Rappaport suggested Rob Gronkowski is coming back to the Patriots. And then Gronk, in perfect timing, shows up with another cryptic tweet. And here it is, #clueless. So there's no doubt that retirement is on his mind. You remember after Super Bowl 52, he said, quote, I'm definitely going to look at my future for sure. I'm going to sit down the next couple of weeks and see where I'm at. And Gronk, of course, has sustained his fair share of injuries in his career and has played a full season as a starter just once. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that Rob Gronkowski decides to retire. Now, of course, you have Hollywood and the WWE recruiting this guy to join them and do some entertainment type of stuff, and I'm sure they're not far behind in terms of career choices for Rob Gronkowski. When it comes down to it, for Rob, money is not the issue here. Gronk has actually saved at least $44 million from his playing career. He has that in the back pocket. Now, my understanding is Gronk will eventually entertain the idea of acting or perhaps joining the WWE. And despite this recently cryptic tweet, as you see it right here, signs point toward a return with the New England Patriots. I think he is going to come back with New England. He'll be due $17 million in total base salary for the next 2 seasons. And my main argument about this is the following. If Josh McDaniels has a head coaching position locked up with the Indianapolis Colts, and somehow, some way, the likes of Belichick and Kraft and Brady can pry him back to be the offensive coordinator there, I'm pretty sure Brady and the brass of the New England Patriots will be able to put Rob Gronkowski in a conference room and say, look, you're a fantastic tight end, perhaps the best in the league. We want you back on this offense. Let's go give it another run. And I think Gronkowski is going to return to the New England Patriots. That's my understanding. Let's get to the next headline here. Lamarcus Joyner, will he remain in Los Angeles? So here is the deal. Joyner is the priority for the LA Rams. You know, of course, Joyner's a free agent. Sammy Watkins is a free agent, and Tremaine Johnson is an impending free agent. So a decision has to be made on Joyner, on Watkins, and on Johnson, respectively. Of course, the Rams just acquired Marcus Peters. Can't be official until the new league year on March 14th, but for all intents and purposes, Peters is headed to the Rams. And so maybe Tremaine Johnson is expendable, and maybe Sammy Watkins can be worked out for perhaps a 1 or 2 year prove-it kind of deal, while Joyner gets the franchise tag. I've mentioned many times that Joyner should be the priority for the Rams, and it seems as though Sean McVay has been tuning into the Cam Rogers show because he just recently said that Joyner returning to the Rams is a, quote, huge priority. And why wouldn't it be? He's an important part of that secondary. Pairing Joyner and Josh Johnson would make for a really formidable safety tandem for the years to come. Add in Marcus Peters at corner, and the Rams have a very scary secondary. Like I said, franchise tag, very much a possibility, but the Rams only have a few days to make that decision, March 6th to be exact, so they'll have to come down with a choice on that pretty darn soon. From what I've gathered, all signs point to Joyner remaining with the Rams. All signs point toward Tyrod Taylor perhaps moving on. So the latest with Tyrod is the following. The Bills brass really didn't provide much on the status of Tyrod. Shocker alert. He's on the roster. Nothing more, nothing less. That's basically what GM Brandon Beane said. And here's one of his quotes from the Combine. Quote, we're just taking it day by day, and like every position, we're trying to get better everywhere. So we're looking at every position, including quarterback. So it's this blanket statement. And you're going to get another one from Jason Garrett in a matter of moments here when I talk about Dez Bryant, about as diplomatic as you can get with a response. Now, the Bills are expected to pay Tyrod Taylor the $6 million roster bonus he's owed. But that really doesn't mean much. I think it's more of a kind of direction of insurance policy by giving Tyrod Taylor that money, because if for some crazy reason the Bills can't trade up in the draft and get a rookie quarterback or get a quality quarterback in free agency, then yes, perhaps Tyrod Taylor will be the starting quarterback in 2018, and the Bills really won't be happy about it, but at least they have a guy with starting experience in the Bills system that they can trot out there in week 1. I want to hear from you. Will Tyrod Taylor be the Bills' starting quarterback in 2018? Give me a heart for yes, a like for no, and hit that reaction button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that reaction button and then slide it into the comment section below. So Tyrod Taylor, if the Bills want to be preventative of being stuck in neutral, if you will, they got to get rid of this guy. Because we know who he is. We know his ceiling. It's not very high. A Josh Rosen has a high ceiling. Bringing in a Kirk Cousins into that offensive system with Dable and a good offensive line and LaShawn McCoy, etc., high ceiling. Tyrod Taylor, it's almost like you know what you're going to get. It's not going to rejuvenate the fan base in any way. And I've talked to many Bills fans out there, and they have told me, look, we need to move on from Tyrod Taylor. But the latest, from what I'm hearing, he's probably going to be for sale via the trade, could be released. And then, of course, that roster bonus, it's there to be paid, but, you know, it's last resort. Let's go to Adrian Peterson. What's the deal with him? Could he be cut by the Arizona Cardinals? Sure sounds that way. It makes sense, too. If the Cardinals want to make a run at a quarterback in free agency, they need salary cap relief. And there's no dead money with cutting Peterson, which is definitely a plus. And the Cards only have $21 million in salary cap space as we stand. I think Adrian Peterson is a surefire release, while Jared Veldheer and Mike Iupati are also potential salary cap casualties too. Tyrann Mathieu could also get the boot. There's been reports that they're reevaluating the use of him on that defense. So the bottom line with the Cardinals, they've got to be competitive on the open market looking for a free agent quarterback, because I don't think they can get a good rookie quarterback in the draft, selecting at number 15 overall. I also don't think they trade up in the draft to go get a rookie quarterback. So that means some tough decisions with their roster, and that includes Adrian Peterson. And like I said, very easy decision because David Johnson is coming back. I know they have a couple of other free agents at the running back position as well, but the Cardinals could very much go with a running back in the draft, too, to kind of back up David Johnson. There's a really rich crop of running backs in this year's draft. So Cardinals fans should not worry about that. Adrian Peterson probably going to be testing the open market after he gets cut by the Cardinals. All right, folks, let's move on to Tavon Austin. Is he done with the LA Rams? Certainly seems that way. The Tavon Austin experiment looks to be over with LA. A former number 8 overall pick, Austin has not come close to playing up to his 4-year, $42 million deal that he signed in 2016. Quite frankly, he has stunk since then. Caught just 13 passes for 47 yards for a minuscule 3.6 yards per reception last year. And the Rams, of course, are hoping to bring back Joyner, maybe Sammy Watkins, so they need the salary cap relief to get all of that done. Cutting Austin would come with, albeit, a $5 million dead money hit, but also $3 million in savings, plus Austin's contract calls for a $5 million roster bonus this month. There's no way the LA Rams are going to want to pay him that much money. And when I was doing my research and my reading on Tavon Austin, the numbers are not all of that impressive. And it got me thinking, is Tavon Austin a bust? And also, who's the biggest bust in NFL history? Throw in your comments in the comments section below here on Facebook Live and on YouTube. I want to hear from you. We'll show the comments on the broadcast as we see fit. But the emergence of Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, all the evidence is there that the Rams can just say, see you later, Tavon Austin. Looks like he is going to be moving on from the LA Rams. All right, next headline across the NFL. Johnny Manziel, what is the latest? So, according to reports and from what I am hearing, Johnny Manziel has been in talks with multiple NFL coaches. This is a juicy story here. So several folks within NFL inner circles believe that Johnny Manziel is capable of a comeback either before or after he plays in the Spring League. Because you may recall he did commit to playing in the Spring League, so take that for what it's worth. And look, guys, his exclusive with GMA was not by accident. You don't just come out of hiding, do an exclusive interview with a national station, ABC, and not do anything with it. Johnny Manziel is putting the wheels into motion, if you will. First, it's the GMA interview. Then it's the announcement you're joining the Spring League. Then it's this report, this information that indicates that Johnny Manziel is now in negotiations with talks, at least, with NFL coaches. So it begs the question, do you want Johnny Manziel back in the NFL? A comeback, is it good or bad for football? You know what would be interesting? Johnny Manziel back playing in the NFL, and at some point Baker Mayfield being a starting quarterback for an NFL team, and both those teams doing battle. Talk about ratings, right? Because the NFL is struggling with ratings. They would love Johnny Manziel to return to the NFL, and I'm sure they would love one Baker Mayfield to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. So let me know in the comments section. I've got the broadcast right in front of me tracking all of your comments. I'm seeing some comments for my question about the biggest bust in NFL history, Jamarcus Russell. Figured that would be a popular one, so keep those comments flowing and let me know about Johnny Manziel. All right, next headline here, Aqib Talib. What is the latest? Is a trade going to go down? So this is quite intriguing. It sure sounds like there's friction between Denver and Aqib Talib. Talib is 32 years old, by the way. He's owed $12 million in 2018. The Broncos can save $11 million of that if they cut or trade him. And reports came out via Ian Rappaport, and Aqib Talib had something to say about that on Twitter. So there he is, little eye emoji going on here, and who coming to get me? So maybe Aqib Talib is open to perhaps going to another team, or maybe he's just trolling people. He actually is very active on Twitter in terms of like quote tweeting things and responding. So this isn't like out of the ordinary for him. I actually looked at his Twitter feed, and it's kind of something that he likes to do. So here's the deal. It's not like Aqib Talib played poorly in 2017. There he is, graded as the Pro Football Focus's 15th cornerback in 2017. The problem is Denver is going to be in the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes, and they need to save as much money as they possibly can to be in the thick of that running. Because when you have the Browns and the Jets and all these teams with a lot of salary cap space, the Broncos are already behind the 8 ball in terms of money. So there's just no realistic way for them to afford all three of their top 3 corners, Bradley Roby, Chris Harris, and Aqib Talib. Seems like Talib is on that chopping block. So from what I understand also, it sounds like Denver is keeping Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders at wide receiver, which I think is the smart move. I think moving on from Aqib Talib is something that probably should happen for Denver. So it looks like we are leaning that way. All right, so let's talk about Dez Bryant now. What is the latest with him? Is the Dez Bryant era over in Dallas? So I talked about Jason Garrett earlier. He was quite, shall we say, conservative in responding to questions about Dez's future. Responded with saying the team has not had specific personnel meetings about any players yet. That was his response about Dez. And apparently, according to reports, he kind of like seemed cringy when he was being asked about these questions about Dez Bryant. And the fact that Jason didn't even shut down the idea tells me that the Dez Bryant era could very well be over in Dallas. And I have argued that it should be. Yes, the Cowboys would have to eat up $8.5 million in dead money if they were to cut him. Understand that. But there's also $8 million in cap savings. Plus, if the Cowboys think Dez is a distraction, can you really put a price on being a distraction in the locker room? Is it time for the Dallas Cowboys to cut Dez Bryant? Let me know. Give me a heart for yes, a like for no. One more thing on Dez. And people have come at me in the comments section on Facebook and YouTube for this. Even though it doesn't make complete sense from a monetary perspective, cutting Dez Bryant means more than just money. It's a symbolic movement away from the Dez Bryant era, ushering in youth at the wide receiver position for Dallas, and changing the guard at that position. Guys, you look at the numbers, Dez Bryant's numbers with Dak Prescott at quarterback aren't good. They just aren't. So the evidence is there. It's time to move on. It's a symbolic move more so than a monetary one, but that's where I stand. Of course, Tom Downey here at Chat Sports disagrees with that one. All right, so from one headlining wide receiver to another, Odell Beckham Jr., does he want $20 million a year? That is the report. That's my understanding. We haven't heard from Odell himself, but if true, come on, Odell. Like, really? $20 million a year? Yes, he's an elite wide receiver. Topped 90 catches, 1,300 yards, and 10 touchdowns in each of his first 3 seasons. But he's coming off an injury-plagued season, so what leverage does he really have here? And oh, by the way, the Giants have roughly $25.6 million in cap space, and Antonio Brown is a better wide receiver, and he's only making $17 million per year. $20 million a year is like mid-tier quarterback money. Like, Mike Glennon was approaching that figure, and he barely played for the Chicago Bears last season. So, yeah, Odell, I get it. You're great. You're a good player, all that jazz. But $20 million, asking a lot. And if you want to win a ring with the New York Giants in 2018, you may want to dial back the $20 million figure there so the Giants can kind of spend elsewhere, especially on that offensive line. So, one more thing on Odell. If they were to extend him, they could actually create some salary cap space in the short term if they push back bonuses in later years of his contract. So maybe if they kind of do something long term, the Giants can still fill some voids there that they have on that front line, on that defense. All right, so that's the latest with Odell. Let's go to some draft news here, more specifically about the Cleveland Browns. Is general manager John Dorsey willing to trade the #1 overall pick? This is interesting. And this is John Dorsey to the NFL. Sup. Because there you see the quote in the graphic. Give me a call and see what's up. So he's saying, hit me up. Slide into the DMs because the #1 overall pick is expendable. And according to him, he might be willing to trade it for the right price. So here's what I'm thinking about this. So if John Dorsey is willing to trade the #1 overall pick, perhaps they're confident that they're going to get Kirk Cousins. Or more so, maybe they really don't care if it's Darnold or Rosen or Allen or Mayfield that they get at #4 overall because that's their next pick, right, via the Houston Texans. So either way, the Browns are looking to make moves in the draft. And I want to ask you folks watching the Cam Rogers show right now, who will be the Browns starting quarterback in 2018? Because I have no idea who it's going to be. Could be Kirk. Could be Deshaun Kaiser. Could be Darnold, Rosen, Mayfield, Allen. The list goes on. Could be Case Keenum, Josh McCown. Who the heck knows? There are so many possibilities with the Browns. #1, because they have a good amount of draft capital in that first round. #2, they have so much salary cap space that they could throw a blank check at Kirk Cousins and say, hey, come on over to Cleveland. So there are a lot of reasons about this. Hit me up in the comments section below, and of course, I'll be seeing what you guys say.